You read the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
And can I have a motion on the approval of?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of Thursday, May 7th. Is that right? Is that the date? Yep.
Second.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Now, Heather, you want to give any COVID updates?
Sure, I can give a really brief one. So myself, I believe Claire, Jean, and Sharon all had the opportunity today to sit in on a conference call with the state. They were going over the CARES Act funding. If you remember, every week I talk about the same three sources of funding: the DPH, the FEMA, and the CARES Act. And the CARES Act is what we were waiting on more information on. So they passed the funds down to the municipalities based on a per capita allocation. Massachusetts is going to do the same thing. They're going to make available for distribution via application the amount per capita for each community, dividing up their whole. What we learned today is that we will have to apply for those funds. We can apply for them for FY20 and FY21. It's a total bucket of money of how much we would be eligible for between the two amounts, whether 20 or 21 or a combination of the two. As we've talked about before, the parameters that the amount of money has to be, or the money has to be, purpose has to be COVID related. It has to be something that we've expended between March 1st and December 31st of this year. The funds or the purpose or the actual expense that we incur had to have been unbudgeted as of March 27th of this year. That's a random date that they have in there, but they do have it. They started talking today, and we'll have to look at the documentation for more information, but there's going to be 3 different categories in which our fundings would be grouped in. One of them has to do with resident support. One of them has to do with telework, or getting people set up on communications when they're working remotely. And then the third is just your general expenses. How they have the application set up is we would go into the portal. We would write down any of our actual expenses that we either have incurred or anticipate incurring this fiscal year that we have not already got funds for. So anything that we've got funds through the DPH grant that came through CMRPC through the Board of Health office, we can't double dip. We already got the money for it. We can't ask for it again. But what we can do is we can ask for anything, including we can put in PPE, any expenses we've incurred, any cleaning expenses, any expenses for purchases of additional hardware, software, anything we had to do to keep people in touch, any expenses for like elections and so forth. And allegedly how the system is supposed to work is it's supposed to be able to identify when a request is something that qualifies under FEMA. And if it qualifies under FEMA, it's supposed to automatically calculate down for you 25% of that cost to be requesting from CARES. The idea is under FEMA, it's a 75%, 25% grant where they give you 75%, you're stuck with the other 25. The CARES Act presentation said that we could now use that CARES Act funding to support that additional 25%. So if the cost of PPE was $10,000, they would say, okay, it looks like you're asking for $2,500 from the CARES Act because we anticipate you're going to apply for $7,500 from FEMA, and it's a qualifying expense. So it's allegedly supposed to help. It doesn't become available to start applying for things till tomorrow. The portal will be open. I think we'll have until June for the first round to apply. Some of the funding can also be used if we're having cash flow issues. To be requesting funds for now. You have to use everything for the purposes you say you're going to use. There's going to be bi-monthly reporting requirements.
Hey, I don't know. Can everyone hear?
Yes.
Oh.
I can't. You're breaking up. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I
Yeah,
can
can
hear
you
fine.
hear me? I'm having trouble. I can hardly hear you at all. You're coming in and out. I don't know if it's my internet connection or what,
Probably.
but anyway,
Can everybody else hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep,
yeah, yeah.
Might be-
Every other word comes in and out. I don't know if you.
It might be your connection.
Yeah, I've had that problem.
Every 30 seconds you cut out on. Yeah.
How about now?
Well. Okay. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
No worries. So we would essentially put all that documentation in. We'd continue to hold on to our receipts, make sure that we're document what we're using funds for and so forth. One of the things I did caution is that folks keep in mind that there's still pending legislation out there relevant to allowing to use some funds for lost revenue. Remember, that's one of the things they said we can strictly not use the CARES Act funding for. They were saying in today's seminar that you should be mindful that if that does pass, you're going to want to make sure that you keep that in mind as you're going forward, because you'd want to be able to utilize that for next year. They also said that you're going to want to use as much funding as you can from any other source. So the DPH funds, FEMA, anything else you can use, because you want to make sure you use those first and keep as many funds free. We're also going to have to be anticipating what our expenses are going to be throughout the end of the year. I did talk to Rob, our fire chief, briefly on this a little bit earlier. So we'll start talking about this next week. I think it's going to take a couple weeks to put this together. We're going to have to review what we've currently already expended, make sure we extract out anything that we've already got reimbursed for in DPH, make sure we have a clearer understanding of what qualifies, figure out what our bottom line number is at the end of the day of what we're allocated under the distribution numbers. And then we're going to have to project out, starting with the Board of Health, what current expenses are we incurring right now with our public health nurse and our health agent? What's the average hours? What are we looking like that's going to continue out to the end of the fiscal year? Then we go into, supplies, looking at what we're going to need when we start reopening, what we need for elections, anything else we've already put in for. So it's going to be working with a lot of the departments. A lot of the stuff is currently unknown because even until Monday, when the governor releases his reopening plan, we don't know what all the requirements currently are to reopen.
Right.
And they're not giving anyone any peeks at that information. We have a general sense of what we need, hand sanitizers, additional cleaning times, making sure that we're providing separation, gloves, masks as needed for certain things. But that's about all we know. We don't know how detailed that's going to look when you look at the library or when you look in the Council on Aging, if that's something that even does open this calendar year. So those are going to be some things we're going to have to take into consideration. But I thought that was a good overview of what we have. They gave more information than they've given yet to date. And once I have those documents, I think they're actually going to be available on the Division of Local Services website tomorrow. When I get onto it, I actually have it in my my calendar as the alarm date of when it becomes published. There, I will send it out to everybody so everyone has it. You guys can review. So that's where we are with that. Otherwise, everything is pretty normal week to week on that. There's nothing really new. At this point, we're staying steady with the number of cases we had last week, so that's a good sign. But we'll see.
that sounds good. Heather, did you happen to read Matt's email that just came in just before the meeting?
Yes, Claire, I think I might have forwarded that to you.
Because one thing, maybe I got the meeting this afternoon wrong, but didn't they say that you need to file for FEMA first and then file for the CARES?
Sort of. You need to keep in mind what you're going to be filing for FEMA. Like you need to prioritize it in your head as what are we going to be paying to FEMA, or what's FEMA going to give us before we figure out what we're asking CARES for. The problem with the FEMA grant is that they won't allow you to apply until the emergency is over. And they won't allow incremental applications for the reimbursement. So we're sitting on the funds or sitting on the expenses until they reimburse us.
Yeah.
The CARES Act will give us that 25% up front, so we're ready to go, and we can, make sure we cover at least a quarter of those expenses without having to be reimbursed. But when they were saying, think of FEMA first, they were talking about priorities of where you're looking. When I say, okay, here's my expense, what's the unlimited funds? So they considered the FEMA pot as unlimited and CARES distribution as capped.
Okay. I misunderstood that. So that was a good explanation. Now on the revenue updates.
Sure. So I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet really quick. So we actually had our finance team meeting today, and Jean was great of going through this week, and Sharon getting all the revenues in. So we do have those updated. I did not send out the sheet because I just updated it, but I want to share it with everyone real quick, at least on the screen here, so folks can see where we're currently at. And as you know, this is something that's usually best updated at the end of the month, because that way we have another month's revenue at a time. Let me pull it up here. So I'm not going to go into all the details sheets. I just want to show people where we currently are. And Jean, if I miss anything, please jump in. So the FY20 year to date. So for taxes so far, we've collected for personal property and real estate together, we have $8,252,389 this far this year. You'll see the column before it is the one that we actually budgeted for, and this is where we are year to date. So we're a little bit lower than that still. You have the breakdown here: 488151 for personal property and 776 4237 for real estate. I know, Jean, I have no commas in there. I promise I'll go back. Okay. State aid, I believe we just got this past month's distribution, so we should be now at 11 out of 12 payments. Local receipts and revenue. So we are at other taxes and excise, 863. Everything's still a little bit low. The charges, fees, licenses, and permits. Other departmental revenue. So we're at about 1,121,000 out of 1.4. Additional funds, that's just the stuff that comes in because we transfer it. So that's all in, and that's it. So we're currently at 11,050,000. We had budgeted 11,732,000. It's about 682 difference still. And keep in mind that real estate taxes, although they were due on May 1st, we did extend the time that folks can pay before they get a late fee, which is the end of June. And Sharon did confirm today that they're still collecting money pretty consistently. So I imagine these numbers will be much less than where this is. We still have a month and a half to go before the end of the fiscal. So we're still collecting money. It's a good sign. We'll keep updating this maybe every couple of weeks to make sure you guys see where we're at, because we're going to have to figure things out as we get to the end of the year. Any questions on that? Jean, did I miss anything?
Nope, I think you're fine.
Okay. Now the next thing is the FY21 expenses.
Okay. I don't think there's really many updates on this. I don't remember if I sent out the updated expense reports. Sometimes
I don't remember seeing it.
Okay, so I might not have, but I will make sure I get those out to everybody. I can.
Heather, they got all those on last week because I sent them out on Friday to the finance.
Okay,
I do that all the time.
Then they're not.
So they all have that.
But you've all had it in email.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at that. I was just looking through here. See, I don't call it an expense up there. I just had a couple of questions on things. I went through to see any that were really over for year to date.
Okay.
There weren't too many. It seems like people are doing really good. Plus the public safety building,
Okay. Let me scroll.
that's one that's. They're up to 120%.
Do. I don't suppose you. Oh, Jean, do you know what department number?
210.
It's on page
210.
3.
Thank you.
Department 210, Heather.
Okay.
It's on 3 near the bottom.
Are you looking at for the police department, or you said public safety building?
Public safety building.
Oh, Jean building.
It's on 3.
One, yeah, go back.
Page
1
3
1.
right at
It's
the bottom.
192.
192. Okay. There we go. Okay.
There
There
you
it
go.
is.
The public safety building. Yes. Jean, do you know anything about this?
No, I don't. I'm wondering if there's maybe COVID stuff coming out of there.
Oh,
But I can't imagine why they're over.
okay.
So that maybe there's COVID in there that should have been pulled
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that because we were doing them separately, so there may be COVID in there. I don't know. I'll check with them.
Because that was one I noticed. And then the police part-time salaries, did he give us an explanation for that? When he was in last couple of weeks ago? Because he's 115%. That's on page 4, near the top.
Yeah, Department 210.
I know sometimes with police department budgets, you have to look at, or police and fire, you have to look at overtime, part-time, and all those as a whole. Because if you're spending more on part-time, you're usually spending less on overtime, and vice versa. I imagine, I mean, we can check, but I imagine that's likely the case, because if you look at overtime, his overtime's only at 68%.
Yeah,
So it's very likely that he's been able to use part-time officers instead of having to pay OT.
yeah, yep. And that's what's up with the ambulance and the fire.
Yes.
Remember Rob said the same thing.
Yeah.
And Jean, did the DPW buy their lawnmower yet? Because that's a 8,000 that's sitting there.
I guess not. You'll have to ask Jason.
Okay.
Update on that.
And Jason's on the line.
Yeah.
Jason, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you happen to catch Claire's question?
What's that?
Oh, there's a dog participating. That's awesome. Did you? He doesn't like me talking. Did you happen to catch Claire's question on if we purchased the lawnmower?
No, we did not purchase a lawnmower yet. We were waiting, obviously, until springtime so that we didn't waste warranty with the thing through the winter. We didn't have any employees after it was approved anyways for the extra machine, so.
Okay, so there's 8,000 sitting there for that.
Yeah, we're gonna
And-
spend it. Don't worry.
The town bond account,
Yes, ma'am.
they're 113%.
Jason, do you know off the top of your head what you guys usually expend out of the town barn account?
The town barn was a bunch of different stuff. we got approved to put the new garage door openers in. So I think some of those invoices went to the wrong place. So we'll just have to go over that with Gene after.
Okay. And that was all that I found on there, which that's not bad at all.
Any other questions on the expense report?
Okay, well, we can let Jason take over with for his department. He's got, wherever he wants to start first, Jason.
Well, whichever way you guys want to do it. I have the highway department in front of me first. If you want to start there, whatever works for you guys.
That's fine.
Um,
Do you
Make
have
sure you
that
guys-
put up, Heather?
Give me 13 seconds. I'm not as
Okay.
you guys are. I have to push multiple buttons.
Did you guys all get a chance to look that over today?
Yes.
Everything on there is level funded except for salaries. Trying to think. A couple of them are step increases, and you can see the different column with the COLAs in there to see the difference. It's kind of pretty minimal. Looking through everything here. Highway salaries. So the total highway salaries went up 1% total, even with the COLAs involved, because we had some new hires. So it kind of all balances itself out. Pretty self-explanatory. Parks and Commons. Well, you want to do that one next?
So Jason, one of the notes you have here, you wrote, I'm trying to find out who it was. DPW administrative assistant.
Yep.
You have 40 hours per week, 14.76%.
Yep. Yeah, that was last year. Andrew was looking for a place to cut some money with the Shannon school, children's school stuff. It was she worked about 35 hours a week last year. This year is different, so she'll be able to do the full 40. So we wanted to put that back in there.
So you find that there's a need to have an assistant there for 40 hours instead of 35?
Yeah, it's a 40-hour week position. We just we talked about it, the commission, and we made the okay for her to do that to accommodate her schedule for the kids. That's always been a 40-hour position.
And is this one of the positions, Jason, that's split between water, sewer, and DPW?
It is, yep. So that's one third of the pay.
Okay. And the only other position that's a 1/3, correct? Everything else is straightforward.
Everything else straightforward. Mine and hers is split between all three departments.
Okay. All right. I lost my document. I'll go find it again. It disappeared. Okay, we should be there. All right. Does anyone else have any questions in the highway salaries line? No? Okay. All right. So then the next tab you have here is highway expense, Jason.
Yep, highway expense, everything's level, everything's zeros. Nothing changed.
Does anyone have any questions on that?
You don't have that put up?
I do. Oh, I'm sorry. I see. My screen sharing is paused. Okay, resume. I'm like, I'm looking at it. Everyone else is looking at it with me. So we have right here the expense items. I don't know if I can shrink this. I don't think I can. So you have the amounts over here. I wonder if there's, okay, hold on. Let's see. Wonder if there's a better way. No. Can I show a different side? No, I can't. think we're stuck with my screen cooperating as little as it is.
Well, you,
Hopefully everyone has their copy in front of them too.
if you just go over so that the account number doesn't show, the whole thing shows.
Oh, good. Can you see it? Because I see everyone's faces. That's
Yeah.
what I see in my numbers. Okay, well, as long as everyone else can
Yeah.
see, that's all that matters.
There's not really much to look at. It's all 0% increase. It's exactly the same as last year. So.
Yeah.
If you go down to the bottom, you look
That's
at the
good.
total. The total budget went up 0.59%. That's with all the step increases and the COLAs and everything included for all union and non-union employees.
Oh, you're talking about for the entire budget, Jason?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right, they're still on highway expenses. Are we good on highway expenses, folks? Or would you like
Yep. I am.
to move on to highway administration tab? Is this one all zero as well?
Mhm.
Does anyone have any questions on this tab?
Jason, how's the gasoline going with the price going down?
Gasoline's good. We're right on track. I should have that. Let me make a look for you at the expense sheet. We have a little bit left over, obviously.
Yep.
But I mean, we can't really think about the price because after everything starts back up, it could be $7.
Yeah.
again.
Hopefully it'll stay down for a while.
Right. We've been pretty lucky around the 70,000. We have 20,000 left as of right now. We
Uh-huh.
also are in need of a software upgrade for the pump system. I talked to the company a while back, and they were supposed to give me a quote on it. So if we do have enough money at the end of the year in there, we'd like to purchase that with it. That's what Andrew and I had talked about before.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I heard something about pump and then purchase, and I missed the in-between words, Jason.
Yep.
If there's enough funds at the end of the year you'd like to purchase?
Yeah, we're in need of a software upgrade for the fuel pumps. The stuff we have is not supported anymore by the company. We do piece it along and keep it working, but we've been lucky so far. So Andrew and I were speaking before, and we're going to see what we had left over for money at the end of the year. We could possibly purchase that software upgrade for that.
Okay. Okie dokie. All right, any more questions on that one? Okay, then we have highway. Is that Parks and Commons?
Parks and Commons? Yep. Now that's all level funded as well. Just the 2% COLA in that final column. You can see.
All right. Jason, I did have one question. I don't remember which tab it was in. I think it might have been on the earlier one.
Okay.
I think I saw somewhere something about flood insurance.
Yep.
Now, what is that? Which property is that for?
The flood insurance, if it's in the highway, it will be for the DPW building.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering because we recently had a bill for flood insurance for another, I think it's another property. I don't remember the address. Perhaps Sandy does, but I was just curious because I wanted to make sure we weren't budgeting for it twice, and I also didn't know how many different properties we were paying flood insurance on. So.
I believe the DPW garage and the wastewater treatment plant. They have flood insurance on both of those.
Okay.
1938, they were all underwater. So.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any more questions on the highway budget? So Jason, in the COLA columns, does that reflect any of the changes that took place if everything is blessed at town meeting for the collective bargaining unit?
Say that one more time, Heather.
In the with COLA column,
Yep.
Are all those numbers reflective of what's in the new DPW union contract?
Yes, that is all 100% the union contract. Yep.
Okay, excellent. All right. Does anyone else have any more questions on the highway budget?
Nope.
Okay.
Is everybody all set?
All set.
Yeah,
I do water next.
Here, let me just pull that one up. Hopefully that comes. I think that's this one. Maybe that's not that one. No, maybe it is. Enterprise receipt history. I still don't think that's our document. Okay. Please hold. Highway sewer. No, it says water budget. Okay. Jason, does the water budget have multiple pages or is it just?
Nope,
I
one
was-
page.
Okay.
Nope, 2 pages. I lied to you. 2 pages.
Okay, so maybe I'm on a different sheet. It says water budget that you sent me, but it's saying the enterprise fund receipt history.
Okay, yep, you're in the wrong tab. It's gonna be the budget two tabs. It has salaries tab and then it has the expenses tab or
Okay.
admin tab. I forget how it.
I'm trying again. Oh, down below. You know what it is I have this box. Let me get rid of my box. There we go. Now I can see everything. My control box was messing with my brain. All right, copy of water enterprise. Looking for it goes all the way over. Nope, 2018. So that's not it.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, we don't need that. We need all the way to the right hand side. There should be 2 tabs.
Okay. Please hold. I'm pushing all kinds of buttons here. Everyone's getting so excited. We'll just hit pause as they show every window I have up. All right, down the bottom. There we go. Down the bottom. Water salaries. Resume share. Okay, I think we're loading, but I think we're here. All right, so water salaries.
Yep. Salaries, again, that's all level funded except for the union contract. And the only other thing in there was the water overtime. We're a little bit shy in that this year due to the amount of call-ins we've had for alarms and different situations with weather events and leaks in town that we have to go fix. So we increased that a little bit. Again, the water department's self-sufficient. We bring plenty of money in to take care of our budget, so it shouldn't be a problem at all.
Does anyone have any questions on water salaries? Okay. All right. Water administration. It's loading. Oh, there we go. We're in.
And that's all 0% right across the board.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, so sewer next?
Yep.
Okay. Right page. Pause. Oh, too far.
Sewer's the same thing, just contractual increases and COLAs. And that's it. On there's a couple step increases for 2 of the 3 employees at the wastewater plant.
Does anyone have any questions on the sewer salaries? And sewer administration, Jason?
Sewer admin, again, same thing, 0% all the way across.
Oh, there's the flood insurance that I saw.
Yep.
We lose it.
Again, that budget with everything, with all the increases in salaries and everything, only goes up 0.18%. So not even a full percent. Not even a quarter.
Excellent.
So Jason, just one question. I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page on this. So relative to health insurance, general insurance, and county retirement,
Yep.
my understanding is that we calculate those numbers and you guys show them as you usually break them out as a specific expense in most of your stuff, but we essentially show it as coming in from you guys as an indirect offset.
Yep.
So you guys at the beginning of the year, Gene will just say, okay, we're going to transfer 50, 60, whatever thousand number dollars it is for your allocation for those payments, and we transfer it into the town's lines.
Yep, you're absolutely correct. If you look on the expense page of the sewer department, you'll see them all at the bottom there. All the health insurance, the county retirement. We actually pay town services. We pay for water and sewer $7,500 a piece for them to do bills and turnover and
Collect money.
yeah, do the collection,
Okay.
all the demands, all that stuff. We pay them to do all that. So.
Okay. All right. Any more questions for Jason?
Is the Hardwick sewer going to tie to Barre, or is that done with Jason?
No, Ted, that's a done deal now, as far as I know. It went before us, the project was presented, but unfortunately the USDA didn't find it feasible to make that connection. It was a very expensive project. So.
Okay,
Great question, Ted. Thanks.
thank you.
Hey, do we want to just talk about capital real quick? Because Jason had a couple items on the capital request thing.
Yep, that's what I was gonna come up with next.
Jason, were you able to look at that form?
Yeah. Yep. The only thing we had on this form was to replace one more dump body. All the dump bodies we have on our trucks are all, 80s home built bodies and stuff like that. We did one. It wasn't last year, the year before. We put an all season body on our newest truck. And that makes it nice because we use it as a dump body in the wintertime and a sander as well. So if we have any, issues going on with the water system or the wastewater system, we actually have dump trucks we can use without pulling them apart and putting dump bodies back on. So that's the only thing that was on there. Those bodies cost about $64,000 a piece, so that's on there for $65,000. So we're hoping to get another one of those this year. Obviously, with everything going on, we understand the issues. And the other thing on there was a 10-wheel dump truck. I think that number got a little bit mixed up. We were talking about it for a new 10-wheeler with the all-season body, plow, and everything on it. They're about $230,000 right now. We were talking about possibly purchasing a used truck itself and then putting a new body on it, new plows, stuff like that, so we could save a lot of money. We figured we'd probably get a good used truck for around $50,000, but then on top of that, we'd also have to put a $65,000 body and then probably some more money for plow frames. We'd also like to put a wing plow on the 10-wheeler for the bigger roads in town. It saves a lot of time in the winter doing snow and ice removal. So that number's a little off, but obviously I think that's probably not going to happen at this point right now anyways. So
Unless it's COVID-19 related.
So Jason, you're saying that we can push that out to another year?
yeah, we'll push it out another year or even half a year, see where these things go.
Until we get this COVID straightened out and know where we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, that 1978 truck's been plowing snow this long. It'll probably make it another year.
Now on the other one for the 65,000.
Mhm.
How
That's just,
desperate are you for that? So
well,
we
like I
know
said,
if we've got to cut something.
right. Like I said, that makes our lives a lot simpler in the wintertime if we need a dump truck. They say right now we have one truck we can use as dump truck, which was that last body that we purchased 2 years ago. So it gets very frustrating when we're at a water leak in the middle of winter when it's 20 below zero and we got to wait for one truck to go dump and come back.
Yeah,
Where if we had two, at least two, it'd be very handy. So
yeah.
I mean that's something that obviously should be a pretty good priority, but obviously with things going on, it's not 1,000% necessary that it happens today.
If some miracle comes up and we get some money from somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's all we
exactly. Yeah.
need.
Yeah, it's a pretty inexpensive thing that would be very beneficial to us. So.
Yeah. Okay, good. Heather, you want to go over that 1/12 budget thing now? If
Oh.
we have to go to that?
I would love to.
I knew you would.
So one of the things we've been talking about for a couple of weeks is this concept of a 1/12 budget. So the regional school district is very familiar with this because they live in 1/12 budget land. Whenever the regional districts can't agree on the budget, the school ends up operating on what's considered a 1/12 for the foreseeable future, which essentially means they have had to work with DESE to look at their prior fiscal year's annual budget, and they essentially divide that number by 12, the entire budget, and then they have to come up with a plan of how they're going to expend within 1/12 for the months of July, August, and so forth until things get approved. So the state has taken that lead and decided to do the same thing with municipalities in the event that we're unable to successfully hold a town meeting prior to the end of June. The select board last week, they did talk about going back and forth on the town meetings and looking to see, if there was a creative way to hold it, or if they were going to end up holding it outside of this fiscal year, which is now permissible under Mass General laws based on the state of emergency. And if we get to that point, we will end up on a 1/12 budget. That and the Division of Local Services is strongly recommending that municipalities consider getting a 1/12 budget adopted and approved by the Division of Local Services just in case. Because if we have it on the books, if we're approved, we can continue operating as we get into July. And if we don't have that town meeting until July, August, or whenever it may be, we're good. And if we have it before then, no harm, no foul, 1/12 budget can go away. So there was two documents I sent everybody today. The first one was the Divisional Local Services Guidance. I think it's 2020-06. It's the bulletin that I sent everybody in the packet today. So that kind of gives you the outline of what they're looking for. Essentially, they had described it on a call last week that it was supposed to be something easy to go into Gateway system, the Gateway portal, and you enter in a couple of different factors, including, your regional school contribution, your insurance payment, your debt payment, and your other expenses. So what we did was we took those pieces of information and we tried to go into a little bit more detail just so we had backup. This is still in draft mode. I think we're getting pretty close to being ready to roll. We still need to send it to all the departments to make sure there's nothing crazy we're missing. But what we ended up doing was we looked at the numbers we knew. So we looked at July of this fiscal year. We looked at proposed school numbers. We looked at proposed health insurance and so forth. And those are the calculations that we operated off of in order to take a look at where we were. Most updated version. Let's see if this is it. Oh, it's not loading yet. Okay. check, see if this is the real one. I think it might be. Okay. Here it is here. Okay. All right. So here's the document that we have here. The first sheet is just a summary. So in order to do the 1/12 budget, what the process is that we have to take our general operating budget and come up with a proposed piece that meets those guidelines, including those parameters, and submit it to the Board of Selectmen for their approval. We then have to take a copy of their vote with the letter, all kinds of things, and upload that along with some details. We would need to do the exact same thing for water and sewer, except water and sewer would have to be approved by their respective commissions. So here you see under July, we did filter out or continue out some of these numbers for quite a few months, just so that we have the information set in. So in this first column here, if everyone can see it okay, I don't know if I can increase and shrink the size. Ooh, there we go. Now we're good. So if you see this, so county retirement, Worcester Regional Retirement System, our contribution for the entire town is $344,000. And if we pay it in July, we save about $6,000 because it's up front. There was a letter that went out a couple weeks ago from PARS. Sharon, are you with me? Can you do the acronym for me, please?
It's the Public Employees Retirement. We did this last time too. It's the Association for the Public Employee Retirement.
So it's PARAC.
Yes.
Okay. I was saying PARS. I like that better today. But it's PARAC. Okay. So PARAC had given direction to the retirement systems and told them that they would be able to, they should consider allowing municipalities to pay late or pay in some other method. So far, they have not been very responsive as far as providing any fluctuation. They will happily take our money later, but they will charge us more for it. So we're hoping that those things will change, but in the meantime, we programmed in that amount. The nice thing is, for as far as the debt category goes, is we don't have any that's due in July. We pay bonds as well as a state note, and those contributions are not up in July, so that's a nice thing. So then you get to education. So education gets a little crazy, and the reason it gets crazy is the major piece of education that we pay is the Quabbin Regional School District. So if you look at the amount we owe them, generally speaking, right now what happens is we pay them every quarter, including starting in July, which means that I have this currently broken out in 12 pieces, 12 bites. But if I was instead to only break it out into 4 bites, you'll see that the amount is much larger. Or I multiplied wrong, not that large, it's 1.4. There we go, 1.4. Well, if our annual operating budget is just between 11 and $12 million, then 1.4 million exceeds 1/12 of that pretty easily. So that would be a problem. When I was on the phone with the superintendent of schools last week, along with the other school districts, or I'm sorry, communities that were part of the school district, we were discussing their willingness to let us do a monthly payment instead of quarterly as our agreement dictates. We might have to look at doing a amendment for 1 year to modify that so that we can do monthly payments. But either the state's going to have to let us do it, or they're going to have to do monthly payments, because there's no way we can just pay the school and not do anything else for a month. We'd have to shut down everything. No one gets paid. It would be crazy. So that's the school numbers there. The school, as of last week, school committee had met. They had talked about a possible option of taking some of the savings that they had this year and applying it to their budget for FY21 in their mechanisms that are available to them. And that would reduce the overall assessment, which means our overall assessment would be significantly lower than what it currently is now. They don't know if that's ultimately going to be the vote of the school committee. That is something we started talking about last week as to the recommendation from Google as to what number municipalities use when we're working on our budgets. So we'll see where that goes, but this number here is based on that lower number. And then you have the Quabbin Regional School District, the capital assessment. Again, this is usually broken out quarterly, but we have this here in monthly increments. And then Monty Tech, which we don't pay till September, so that would be fine. That brings us back here. So then we have our estimated expenses. So over in our estimated expenses category, folks are more than welcome to go dig in deep, check out some of these things, but we have annual contracts and services, annual dues. So those are like the dues for finance committee's membership or Mass Municipal Management Association, Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, so forth and so forth. Health insurance contributions to the town. This is it also includes Medicare as well as unemployment insurance, and that is there. Insurance costs. This number I believe is going to be a little bit higher because I did not include some of the other components that are usually in it. I believe this is straight workman's comp, injured on duty, and general liability insurance. But I need to go back and add flood insurance, bonds for a few departments and so forth. Then you have the monthly payroll. So all we did on this was I had Sharon was kind enough to calculate what we normally pay for a biweekly batch, and then we multiply it all the way out for the year and then divide it back and get our amount. We increased it a little bit to allow coverage of any increases for steps. Other departmental expenses. So anything that we didn't cover in this set, but we anticipate, there's still going to be things that you're going to have to buy, whether it be paper, whether it be a car breakdown, whether it be fuel, whatever it may be. We need to calculate some number. So we can definitely modify this number, and we've talked about it a little bit, but we just want to plug something in. Regional services contributions for animal control and regional dispatch, reoccurring bills, so things we have every month. These are the cable bills, the telephone bills, Xerox, etc. And then software. So July is a big month for our software. A lot of it is due for. So that's what we're currently looking at. So based on this, our first draft, our July month of expenditures would be about 1.1 million. So one of the things we want to be very cautious about when we do formalize and submit this is we want to make sure that we have enough padding to operate within, because they are not looking to allow municipalities to have any extra wiggle room as far as, if you say, oh, I'm so sorry, we went over that number. It doesn't seem, based on their presentations, that is going to be a tolerable offense. So we want to make sure that our number is sound, but also has enough padding in it that we can ensure that we're going to comply with those numbers. So in all of the calculations that we found, the other things, we went through all of July and all of August invoices for July 2019 to figure out what numbers and which payments and everything had come up in those months. That's also why I want to send it out to all the department heads, because departments are usually pretty good at knowing when they have things due, especially things that are in large amounts. We just want to make sure that we have all that as backup and we have all the details there. Any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns? Everyone's so excited. I can see it in your face.
It's a lot to absorb, Heather.
Well, hopefully we don't have to do that and we get a town meeting in. That would be much easier.
I hear you, Brian, but my recommendation would still be get this passed.
Oh, absolutely. No, I agree. Yes.
Yeah. No, I hear you. The thing with doing a regular budget that's terrifying to me is we really don't know where the state's going to land on state aid.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're being conservative, but if you listen to a couple of these conference calls and so forth recently, everyone's freaking out that this is going to be worse than the hit state aid took in 2007.
Okay.
Which is like a 34% dive. So trying not to hyperventilate.
Got to do it then, yeah. Right.
Can they say they're sorry and we can't say we're sorry? Is that the way it works?
Pretty much, Ted.
Can't make it up.
Nope. Okay.
Okay. Uh, So we move on to new business or old business. Does anybody have any thoughts or what we should be going towards or suggestions?
One question I have is, we're supposed to be opening up the state on the 18th or whatever. I know it's going to be a big surprise, but does that mean the town might have an opportunity to open up or not?
So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be doing a 4-phased approach, and the 18th isn't necessarily a everything is open today. Thanks for coming. It is going to be a reveal of their actual plan. We're starting to get information and guidance from DPH on what the different types of some of the businesses, what the requirements, the standards are going to be. So we know that there's going to be, social distancing requirements and wearing masks to connect with people, making sure everything is decontaminated and cleaned down thoroughly, reducing and keeping low interaction levels still with the public. We know that when they start opening businesses, they're supposed to be starting to open the ones that involve the least amount of interaction with the public is going to be the first phase. The most interaction with the public is going to be the last phase. They're looking at different creative things on how to do stuff, but right now, unfortunately, they're not really leaking any of their plans. So even the Board of Health, health agents and so forth, everyone, they're hearing little whisperings, but no one really knows. But no, Ted, Town Hall will not be open Tuesday the 19th, I don't.
In all the telephone calls you've had, have you heard a number of percent vacancies in the hospitals? 2 or 3 weeks ago, the last I heard was hospitals were 60% vacant. Ever since then, I've never heard a statistic. I'm assuming it's more than 60%. Have you heard anything about that?
Hey, Rob, are you hearing this question?
Well, I heard Governor Baker
Well,
one day this week.
on our website, there is a report that comes in every day and is posted on the website, on the town website. So you can go in there and you can see all the numbers from the state.
Mhm.
They talk about ICU units and everybody else.
Well, the thing Governor Baker said that I was
I know, but
impressed with, Brian, was that he said the hospitals have enough beds to take care of the COVID people.
Right.
But they're doing the regular surgeries now, some of them, and a lot of the people in the hospitals are just regular patients. They're not all COVID. But they don't have empty beds.
Rob, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the hospitals, but just from what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, bringing patients, the emergency rooms are not as busy as they typically are. I'll say they're, without speaking for the hospitals, they seem to be below their normal typical days. I think the issue that the hospitals have run into is the ICU is busy. So the hospital itself may be a little slower, but the ICUs seem to be what is the busier part of the hospitals, so I can't speak for every hospital, but
Yeah, there's a report.
Yeah, so this is on mass.gov, they have a COVID-19 section, and this is the dashboard that comes out every day between 3 and 5:30 at night usually. And the first sheet's actually pretty good because it gives you a summary of what's going on. So they had 16 new cases today. Newly reported deaths today is 167. So for those who haven't been following this day to day, that's actually up high again. We were below the 100s a couple days ago. Yesterday, we spiked it again in the hundreds. Now we're back to 167. Percentage of cases currently hospitalized is 3%. That's the lowest it's been thus far. The past couple of days, it's actually
3%. 3% of what number?
3% of their active cases, I'm guessing. Although I don't know if it's their active or all cases. So they have 82,000 confirmed cases, and they're saying there's 3% currently hospitalized of all cases. So maybe that's 3% of the 82 number. I'm not sure. They have 781 people in the ICU. They tested 14,000 new people today. And then if you scroll down, they divide things up for you. So like here, daily and cumulative confirmed cases as of May 14th, which is today, 1685. If you go to testing by date, they give you the number at the bottom and this lighter blue curve down here. The 12% is of the number of people tested on the 14th, the 14,329 were the tests that were reported that day. 12% of them were positive. As you can see, that's better than when we were up to 33%. Case by growth by county. That's harder to see as you have to look at colors. And then the other one that I always watch is down here, which is the hospitalizations. So they tell you the total number of people hospitalized right now is 2,859 people, which it hasn't been this low since prior to April 12th. And then it looks like it went down 242 people from yesterday.
How many people in Massachusetts? Is it 9 million?
I'm sorry, that statistic is not currently available on this.
No, I just
Siri?
wondering.
You could ask Siri, Ted.
Around 6 million. Around 6 million.
6 million in Mass?
Yes.
You know it's a census year, right?
Yeah, we should get a real number. Hopefully.
Now, did any of you look over the other departments in the town to see if we want different ones to come in, or are we all set? Next week, we have the town clerk, council on aging, and the library.
Okay. So the other major ones are, as we discussed the other day, we have the school, obviously.
Yeah.
There's also the regional dispatch. So they have recently modified their number. I think I mentioned last week. So it's
Yeah.
10,000 less than what they had last year. And those are the major pieces. I mean, any of the other small budgets that you guys want to see that we already have the information for, I can present. What I'm hoping to start doing is if I can get away from COVID-19 a little bit, I want to free up some time to start getting all this into the Excel sheet so you guys can see this thing live as it's building. But
Yeah.
going back to Ted's question, 6.893 million as of 2019.
That was pretty close.
Yes. Make sure you write that down.
Roughly 7 million.
Yes, 6.893. You have to get it right though.
Now, Heather, I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
On our town meeting, I was reading where they may, or maybe Joshua said it, only need, was it 10%?
Yes, it's a
But
reduced.
it's 10% of what?
It's 10% of whatever the town's quorum is. I'm not familiar enough with our bylaws to know what. Do we know? Anyone know off the top of their head what our?
Yeah, it's 50.
Okay.
50.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be very small.
Yeah, I guess so.
But so that legislation, unless something came out today, and I haven't checked all my emails, pending. They were looking at that. There's legislation. Let's see what else they were looking at. They're looking at quite a few provisions still that would affect municipalities directly. So we'll see if any of those end up passing.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. So our next meeting will be the town clerk, council on aging, in the library on the 21st. And the 28th will be the Quabbin and dispatch. And then we still have the June 4th, that's a budget hearing, but We can see how things go.
You guys.
See where we're at then on town meeting and that.
Claire, the budget meeting is the one we do at the center there, COA Center,
Yes.
Council
yeah,
on Aging Center, right?
Yeah. I suppose we could always do a budget hearing on a Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
you know. But if we have something to give people at that point, if there isn't going to be a town meeting until after
Hey, I
the
don't
end of
know if anyone
June.
can hear me.
Yep.
If anyone can hear me, I don't like these Zoom meetings.
That's what we have though, Eric.
I hear 1 in 10 words. I have 1 in 10 words I get, so I didn't understand hardly anything that you said. So I'll be calling charters tomorrow and see if
Yeah,
I can
tell
get
them.
my internet speed up.
I would.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Let them know that you're working for a town
It
town board. Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Run a speed test and see what it says.
I think he froze again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Claire, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I got one thing.
Yeah.
The kind of the elephant in the room, actually. Chapter 90 reimbursements. As far as Sharon and Jean and Jason, are we all together on that? Are we all happy with what's happening?
Yeah, I think we're all together on it. We had a meeting down at the DPW garage a while back. I thought everybody was on the same page, but apparently people must not have paid attention.
Okay.
But yeah, the first reimbursement came back. Everything else has been submitted. Jean's 100% familiar because she has to sign the paperwork.
Mhm.
So I think everybody's on the same page. I think we're all good.
So,
Usually once they look over and approve everything, it's about 2 weeks, Brian, that they usually get the check to us.
oh, fantastic. For the state, that's great. Super. So we got the 300 some odd already in.
It can't be Massachusetts.
No.
Well, Brian, the 392 has been deposited.
Yes. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Super.
So it's the other one that's gone in.
Great. But it's been submitted and maybe
Yeah.
we get it. Great.
Yeah, everything's submitted. Jean, I gave it all to Jean last week. She signed it, and that was all mailed out the same day. So
Fantastic. And thank you for the 0 increases on all your
Yep.
budgets. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Like I say, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to contact me. That's a lot easier than having things happen like they did last time.
Okay, will do. That's it.
So can I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you,
Aye.
everybody.